Hello, welcome to Computer Networks online lecture series. Myself Prima Rawal from LG Institute of Engineering and Technology in the Department of Electronics and Communication. Here I am taking the Computer Networks online lecture series. Today's session is about data link layer design issues and framing methods. So in this session we are going to see the unit data link layer. And in this unit, today's topics are data link layer design issues and framing methods. In the previous session, we have seen the switching types from the unit physical layer. Now we are going to start the next unit, data link layer, with today's topics, data link layer design issues and framing methods. So let's start with that. So first of all, let us see the functions of data link layer. What does a data link layer do and what services it provides to its below and upper layers. So the first function is to provide a well-defined service interface to the network layer. As we know that in the ISO-SI layer or in the ISO-SI reference model, the layer above the data link layer is network layer. So the biggest duty or biggest function of the data link layer is to provide a well-defined service interface to the network layer. Next is, it should deal with the transmission errors. That means dealing with the transmission errors is also a main function of the data link layer. And the next is regulating the flow of data so that slow receivers are not swamped by the fast senders. Now let us see the relationship between packets and frames. Now we have seen in the previous sessions that in ISO-SI reference model, the physical layer deals with the bits. That means the name of exchange unit or the type of data in the physical layer is bits. Then above that, at the data link layer, the data will be in terms of frames. And in the network layer, the data link layer will be in terms of packets. So, what is the relationship between packets and frames? That is to be understood first. Because we know that data link layer gives the data to its upper layer, that is network layer. So the relationship between packets and frames is to be understood. So as you can see over here, these indicate the frames and this indicates the packets. So in any frame, the frame structure is like this, which will have the first one, that is header field, then the next is payload field, and the last one is trailer field. So in any frame, these are the main three types or the three divisions that are done, which is called as fields in a frame. So the first field is header field, next is payload field, generally which will have the data, and the last one is the trailer field, which is generally for the error correction or detection purpose. Now these frames are transferred for the sending machine and the receiving machine in terms of packets. Now let us see services provided to the network layer. So, to indicate the services provided to the network layer, we need to consider these two diagrams. The first diagram indicates the virtual data path, and here the actual data path is indicated. Here in virtual data path, the lower layers are not indicated because here virtually data connection is provided. And here the actual data path is indicated where the physical actual connection is provided to the particular layers. Now, let us see the different types of services provided to the network layer and the classifications of it. The first one is unacknowledged connection less service. The second one is acknowledged connection less service. The third one is acknowledged connection oriented service. And we can say that another one is unacknowledged connection oriented service. But these are basically three types of services generally provided to the network layer. I repeat again, the first one is unacknowledged connection less service. Second one is acknowledged connection less service. And the third one is acknowledged connection oriented service. Now, as the name suggests, you can see the first one. It is called as unacknowledged connection less service. That means what? Here the acknowledgement from the receiver is not given back to the sender. That's why it is called as unacknowledged. And why it is called as connection less service? Because here the dedicated physical path or actual path is not established between the sender and the receiver. That's why it is called as connection less service. Same way in the second one, that is acknowledged connection less service, there is no physical path established, but here the acknowledgement of the data reception from the receiver is given back to the sender. Next is acknowledged connection oriented service, which we can call it a more reliable service because here the acknowledgement is received as well as it is connection oriented service where a dedicated physical path is established so to ensure the correct delivery of the data. So you can say that the unacknowledged acknowledged connection less service is more reliable to others. Now you can easily differentiate this. Next is framing. Now we know that the data will be in terms of frames, and to send this to the above layer we need to convert it into packets. Same way in the physical layer the data will be in terms of bits. So to convert all of these bits into frames, framing methods are required. Let us see what is framing. So framing is a point-to-point connection between two computers or two devices consisting of wire in which data is transferred in the form of stream of bits. That means whenever the bits or stream of bits is to be transferred between two devices, it is framing, which is a point-to-point connection establishment between these two devices. There are different framing methods. The first one is character count method. Second method is flag bytes with byte stuffing. The third method is starting and ending flags with bit stuffing. And the fourth one is physical layer coding violations. So these are basically four framing methods which are very important for the exam point of view as well. So there are four methods. I repeat again. First one is character count. Second one is flag bytes with byte stuffing. Third one is starting and ending flags with bit stuffing. And the fourth one is physical layer coding violations. Let us understand each of these framing methods in detail. So the first one is character count method. Now, here in character count method there are two cases. The first one is without error and the second one is with error. Now let us consider the first one, without error case. So here the basic logic in character count method is that at the starting of any frame, whatever the number count is there, it indicates the length of that particular frame. Let's say for example, in without error case, figure A, there are the character count indicated. Let's say for example in frame 4, as you can see over here, the 8 is indicated. This count indicates that starting from this, the length of this particular frame is 8. That means here, as it is indicated 8, character count is 8. The frame is divided into 8 divisions. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay. So here the first field indicates the length of that particular frame. Same way if you see in the frame 3, the first bit indicates the character count, likewise it indicates the length of that. Initially there is 5, that means it indicates that the frame 2 length is 5 and likewise. This is the without error case where any of the bits are not changed and the data is received correctly. Now, what if this count is changed during the transmission? Let's say, for example, the frame length is of 8 bits, but that count 8 is changed to 5 or something. Then what receiver will understand? Receiver will understand that the next upcoming frame length is of 5 bits, but actually what it was transmitted? It is transmitted at the 8th frame. So it will store the field like that and the error will continue. Let's say, for example, here the frame 1 is received correctly, but here in frame 2 is an error. Frame 2 is received wrong, right? Because the 7 is changed from 5. As you can see from the previous case, frame 2 has the 5 character count, but here it is changed 5 to 7. That means the receiver will understand that the length of that particular next frame is 5 bits. So likewise, afterwards all the frames will be saved wrong. So this is the case where the error is present, and that's why character count method has some limitations. Next is flag bytes with byte stuffing. So here in the frame structure, as you can see, header, trailer and payload field. Previous to the header and after the trailer, a flag byte is associated. Now what is flag byte? So flag byte is a particular sequence or decided bit sequences which is established at the starting and ending of the frame, which indicates the starting of particular frame and ending of that particular frame. Let's say, for example, I fix the flag bit pattern as 0, 1, 1, 0. This is my flag. I put this flag at the starting of the frame 1 and at the ending of frame 1. So, at the receiver side, when the receiver detects the flag bit pattern 0, 1, 1, 0, it will understand that this indicates the starting or ending of that particular frame, and it will be not stored as the data. So, let us consider here the different cases of byte stuffing. In first case, as you can see over here, the original characters are A and B. That means A frame number and B frame number has a flag in between that, which indicates that ending of A and starting of B. Now, if a flag bit pattern, that means 0, 1, 1, 0 is also in data, then we need to use a escape flag like this. Here escape is called as the accidental flag. That means whatever the bit pattern is decided by you is also in the data. Then we need to store that flag also as a data. So for that, to differentiate this data and flag, we need to use an accidental flag which is called as escape in between this. Now what if this escape is as a form of data? Then before this escape, we need to use another escape to differentiate this. That means if escape is in data, we need to use two escape flags to store A escape and B as a data and to discard the one escape accidental flag. Next, what if escape and flag both are as the data? Then we need to use another two escape flags, two accidental flags, one for the escape data and another escape for the flag. That means now we need to use three escape flags and one flag as the data. Now what if two escapes are there as the data? So we need to use another two escape, one for escape data and another for another escape data. So in total, after stuffing, we will have 4 escape in between to A and B. So these are some cases for byte stuffing. Now let's see next, that is starting and ending flags with bit stuffing. So with a bit stuffing, the boundary between two frames can be unambiguously recognized by the flag pattern. So here in bit stuffing, if consecutive particular number of ones are there, 0 bits are stuffed. That is called as bit stuffing. Next is physical layer coding violations. This method of framing is only applicable to networks in which the encoding on the physical medium contains some redundancy. So physical layer coding violation framing method is limited to some particular usages or networks only. For example, Some lengths encode one bit of data by using two physical bits. Normally, a 1 bit is called as high-low pair and 0 is a low-high pair. So the scheme means that every data bit has a transition in the middle, making it easy for the receiver to locate the bit boundaries. The combinations high-high and low-low are not used for data, but they are used for delimiting frames in some protocols. These are the references for this particular presentation. You can refer the GTU syllabus of the code 3161001 for the subject computer networks. You can refer these websites as well for further information. I repeat again, in this session we have seen the important concept of framing. You have to remember the framing methods. There are 4 types of framing methods. First one is character count. Second one is byte stuffing. Third one is bit stuffing. And the last one is physical layer coding violations. Thank you. Thank you for listening.